rats. I thought there'd still be a phone here. I'm in Hillside. Where is this anyway? Kind of a weird three-way intersection. Across from 13208 Hillside Avenue. This has been here for a long time. And I swear there used to be a phone here. I swear there was a phone in here the last time I was here, but I could be totally wrong about that. Old Verizon rig. No phone here. This is also on Hillside, just a little farther out. So I've been through some of the Hillside subway stations today, and this is going to be my last one. I haven't seen any of the remains that were here the last time I came through. There is this Verizon sticker though. And I'm going to guess this was not a wall-mounted one because I see no evidence of its removal. It must have been floor-mounted. And just for completion's sake, there's another couple of them, one with the 9X showing up from underneath. It's always mildly interesting when the previous brand still lurks underneath. I wonder if there's a New York Telephone sticker underneath that one. I didn't think this one was still here. Woodhaven Boulevard. And of course it's dead, but so many of the subway stations look like this now. It's like a habit trail pattern of scaffolding and tunnels and stuff that most of us are going to be dead before it's ever finished. Anyway, I just came from a really useless, meaningless doctor visit. It was a total waste of time. Just going to walk up Queens Boulevard for a while. Yeah, and then there's this one. Someone posted this to social media recently. I've known about this one for a long time. Northeast. The only place I've seen Northeast phones in the city was over in Sunset Park. This one looks like it's going to be here for a long time, doesn't it? Station reminds me of the Charles Bronson movies. or he'd go into the subway after dark and it would be completely empty. And that was not some dramatic flourish. That's really what the subways were like back in the 80s. Nobody went in after dark unless they absolutely had to. This is a gothic feeling station. This is like the ones up Briarwood Way. And I don't think there's a payphone here. Okay, well, I was a little bit wrong. There is still this old payphone stand. And that's the tube with the landline. There aren't too many of these still out on the sidewalks, but these yellow mats, when you see one of these, that's your signal that there used to be a payphone here. And the yellow mat is like a placeholder for a future Link NYC installation. This mat's probably been sitting here for like 3 or 4 years. A lot of them, I guess, got stolen or somehow dislodged. I don't know why anybody would steal one unless maybe they need a shower mat or a bath mat in their shower. But I've been out looking for payphone detritus, I'll call it. These sort of ephemeral reminders that there used to be a public pay telephone on this spot.
Please stand away from the platform edge, especially when trains enter and leave the station.
Me llamo Laura y soy una estudiante de Hillside. Personas que sobreviven a accidentes brutales a pasar de surfear afuera del tren siempre dicen la misma cosa. No vale la pena. Mantente sano y a salvo.
Faut aller plus vite, des fois.
Okay, so here's a bunch of still photos. Looking at this stuff reminds me of when I was contacted by the producers of the Serial podcast, and that's spelled Serial. It was not about cornflakes, it was about true crime. But I was contacted by the producers of that podcast and I became kind of a consultant of sorts for what came to be known as the mysterious Best Buy payphone. I provided them with a whole slew of photos of concrete smears and metal spikes where payphones used to be. And next thing you knew, people all over the world were looking at my website and looking at pictures of concrete smears and metal spikes sticking out of sidewalks as if it was the most fascinating thing in the world. And this just reminded me of that. Just thought I'd share. As you can see, I made it out to Staten Island. It's very sunny day. I spotted this phone on Cyclomedia. I didn't realize that the sign was all the way intact. I didn't catch that from the online images. But the phone itself looked somewhat intact. And it looks like it might have some identifying information on it. BDA Sales Incorporated. Never heard of them, but that's not surprising. And that's what I mean when I say identifying information. Most phones I find today don't have that anymore. This is on Forest Avenue at Jewett Street, or Jewett Avenue, at the Shell station. Here's some still shots from the Fulton Street JZ station. What I found interesting was that you've got the landline sort of clitorally sticking out of the steel beam, but what was most interesting is that the landline usually went up a pipe up into the ceiling upward, but in this last slide you'll see that it went down in a sort of back of the envelope way. Archaeologists will have a field day with that a million years from now. So I spotted this old relic last week, remains of a clamshell phone. This is at the Wall Street station, and the landline looks like it's still present. Let's see what this detail is. Oh, right, Clark. They were a big name in the payphone parts business. I don't remember this phone at all, ever using it or anything. In fact, it's possible I never even entered this station until recently. But there you have it. This is a cool station. In more ways probably than I've observed. It has this old-fashioned token booth that looks like a movie or Broadway theater box office. And there's also a cool underground tunnel. I'm going to go see if I can get down there. That's too bad. The tunnel is closed. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. I didn't know they closed this on weekends. So I came back the next day, actually starting from the other end of the tunnel. So this will bring me up where we just left off. I just thought this was cool if you're into unexpected underground tunnels. That's right, there's some stairs.
4, train to Crown Heights, Utica Avenue, 2 minutes away.
There's one of those help points.
Is Downtown Express 4, train to Crown Heights, Utica Avenue. Approaching the station, please stand away from the platform edge.
Those things basically replaced all the payphones as lowest common denominator public communication terminals.
Your safety is important to us. Please stand away from the platform edge, especially when trains enter and leave the station. Is Downtown Express 5, train to Flatbush Avenue, Oakland College. Approaching the station, please stand away from the platform edge.
This booth is cool, but I guess it's not used, and I guess there's no attendant on this side. There is one on the other side. Anyway, I just wanted to get another last look at this one. Alright, so a few more still shots. These white frames, white beams are almost certainly the remains of payphone that used to be at the Canal Street station. And I had other evidence, but it wasn't definitive, so I'm not including it here, of other payphones at that station. And then this one is 34th Street Penn Station. I think that's what this is. And that's pretty definitive that this was a public payphone at this location. You got the holes in the steel beam, and you got the metal pipe and the screws. This one is 46th Street in Queens on the R line. And this one still has that like landline box and the tube, of course. So this one's 46th Street. This is another still shot from Greenpoint Avenue, G train subway station. And here's another set of 3 bollards and some concrete smears where the payphones used to be. This was a pray phone, 2 of them. And these were phones I actually used quite a bit. It's on Manhattan Avenue and India Street in Greenpoint. I'm actually going to ping the DOT and ask them why this happens. Why do these bollards remain like a decade after the phone was removed? And here again you got 3 bollards, or stanchions as they're also sometimes called, with some echoes of what there were 3 phones here, I believe. These were payphones too. And not only are the bollards still there, but it looks like somebody might have painted them recently. Somebody's taking care of them. There's another set of these right over here. And these were, I don't think these were payphones, the other ones were. But you just gotta wonder how many of these there are and why, and how long are they gonna be here, serving no purpose whatsoever. And here again, I've documented this one before, but this is a sort of ghostly remain. The holes in this thing look like a facial expression to me. But this phone location dated back to the 1980s. I don't actually remember ever seeing the phone here, but I think I know I stole the phone sign that was hanging around somewhere. And years later I sold it on eBay for 20 bucks. No, this sold one on Ditmars. This was one of the last 2 landline phones. Everything else had gone to cellular. And this one behaved really strangely. It didn't always complete calls, and it would sometimes send you off to some other number that you didn't dial. But there was this one, and there was another one over on Queens Boulevard. Here are a couple of other still shots. This is the World Trade Center, A train, and this is Woodside. This was part of the Talk to Me project. I've checked on these a few times. I mean, many times, I suppose, but 31st Avenue, 76th Street in Jackson Heights. These have been dead a long time. Surprisingly left behind by Van Wagner. They were actually pretty good at cleaning up after themselves, but they didn't get these. Graffiti, I think it's all new since last time I was here. Somebody emailed me once and asked me, said they were doing a music video and they needed a payphone. And I guess I was in a good mood because I responded with a few locations, including this one. And I wonder if they ever used it. They said they'd credit me in the video and send me a link to it. But I never heard back from them. There used to be another one in this strip mall. One of John's phones, John Porter, but he got rid of that one. Anyway, these things are dead and they're not coming back. One time I was here, I was getting a photo and somebody walking by said, "That's a great photo," or "a great thing to photograph," or something like that. And here you see the bollards. If this phone ever gets yanked out, those are probably not going anywhere. Yeah, this one is always so small that anytime I approach, I always think it's not here anymore. This was an Underdog payphone. And Underdog was a company that was not very good about cleaning up after itself. This is the last one of theirs that I know of, but there used to be several others around that they left behind. This is also on 31st Avenue, and I've documented this one a ton of times. 31st Avenue at 60th Street. Well, they finally pulled the plug on this one. Street 7 train station. It still had some hope, some sign of life. It still had a pulse, but now when you call it, it gets to that infernal beep, beep, beep. And my guess is that, I don't know if there really is what the close connection is between the two, but I'll bet you that the Penn Station phone is next. Anyway, farewell to, this was once a very active, very busy phone. People would still use it if only they could. And as long as I'm here, this is where the other one used to be. Well, there used to be, I think there used to be 4 phones on this, in this area, and there would have been 3 or 4 on each of the platforms as well. But in the end, they got rid of this one, and it remains to be seen how long it takes for them to get rid of that other one.